let's make our action drawings better today by adding some color using paint sticks. Today we're going to add color to our beautiful action drawings, and we're going to be using paint sticks. Let me show you how to use them. Paint sticks look a little like a glue stick. They open just like a glue stick, so when it's time to use one, use your muscles and pull the cap off. If your stick is all the way mashed down, you can gently turn it a few times until you see just a little bit of the stick part sticking up. Please don't turn it so a lot of the stick part is showing, just a little bit, enough for you to color. When we're coloring, we're gonna color up and down or side to side, and we are gonna color in straight lines so that our coloring looks even. A few things you need to remember: you don't need to let your hand rest and touch these oil pastel lines because it still could smear. So Miss Dalmy likes to turn my paper when I don't want to get my wrist on the paper. I'll show you in a minute. When you're ready to color, we are going to go hunting for some shapes. So I'm going to look around and I'm going to find a shape. My lines that I made are going to tell me where the shape boundaries are or where the sides of the shape are. Let me start right here. If I hover or put my finger above the black line, I'm not touching it, remember, I can kind of trace around my black lines, and I'm just following the black lines like my finger is a car. I'm driving on the black lines, and I'm trying to outline a shape with my finger over the line. I'm not going to go past up here because that would be another line. So when my lines cross each other, I need to stop and just stay in that shape. Once you find a shape, you can start coloring. I'm lifting my wrist up so it doesn't touch these black lines from last time, and I'm coloring so carefully around the black lines. I'm not going on top of them. I'm going really slow next to them, and I'm turning my marker, my paint stick, so that the side of the color part is touching the paper. I'm not coloring like this. I don't want to color with this big round tip. I want to color sideways. Hey, that's a diagonal line. So we're going to turn our paint sticks diagonal, and we're going to color inside the shapes. We're going to go so slow so it doesn't go outside the lines or on the black lines. Don't get on the black lines. Just go very close to it. So when you get to those black lines, be very careful. There. I'm doing a great job of coloring inside one shape. I didn't cross any lines and color this part. I did not cross this line and color this part. I did not cross over here. I stayed in one shape. And I have to keep coloring until I color the whole thing. I might be using this again later so I can set it down or let a friend use it. And now I'm getting another color, using my muscles to pull off the cap, and it's really flat. I can't see the coloring stick part, so I'm gonna push it up just a little bit by twisting the bottom, okay? Now let's find another shape. Here is an itty bitty one, and I'm not crossing over my lines. I'm staying inside my lines. If you see little crumbs from your paint stick, don't dust them off with your finger. Just leave them right there. If you dust them, it'll make a nasty smear. Wow, this is looking really good. Let me keep going. I'm hunting for shapes. I think I found a shape here. It's really big, so it's gonna take me a little bit of time, so it's a good thing I'm tough because I cannot color and stop in the middle and give up, okay? Also, when you're coloring, you shouldn't be coloring like this, because look at all that white spot. I don't want it to look like that. This is a paint stick. So that means I need to cover all of the white paper in my shapes with this stick. So I'm coloring up and down or side to side, but I'm going very carefully when I get close to my black lines. Remember, push it up and color sideways, or turn your stick diagonal. Now, I should not cross over this line into a new shape. I'm staying inside my zigzaggy lines. Okay, am I finished with this shape? No way. I have to color the whole thing even if I get tired because I'm tough. I'm also not going to color on top of my black dots. I'm going to color right next to them. but not on top. When I get to the bottom of the paper, I need to color all the way to the edge. I don't want to leave a little stripe like that. I'm coloring the inside where I was coloring silly, but I know you boys and girls are going to color in all the way so that none of your white paper is showing through. Do you see any white spots? Yes, I see some. So if you look closely, you can see where you need to fill in those white spots. Very good. Let's work on another shape. I'm hunting for shapes. And I'm using different colors. I'm not using two pinks next door to each other. I'm not using two violets next to each other. So if I want to color next to this pink shape, I need to use a color that's different than pink. This is a small shape. Some shapes are big and some are small and some are going to be medium. Okay, now if you want to use the same color stick again or paint stick, you can use it in another area. Did you see how Miss Dalmy turned her paper? I turned my paper to get to this shape way in the corner so I wouldn't be putting my hand down in paint or in black lines, okay? Now, even though these work like a glue stick and like a crayon and they look like a glue stick, they could still get pretty messy. So we're not going to touch the paint at all with our fingers. We're going to let it dry completely. Oh, I'm being very careful around those black lines. So do not touch the paint. And make sure you stay in your shape. This is the shape that's green. I cannot cross over here. I'm not crossing over any black lines. I'm staying inside these shapes. When lines connect, they make shapes. So lines are so important. Without lines, we would not have shapes. Okay, now I'm going to use a color I haven't used yet to color a shape next door to this green. And it's blue, so I can color blue next to green. I want my paper to be very colorful. That's why I am not using colors next door to, oh, I'm going very careful around this black line. And I'm turning my stick diagonal. Wow, it's looking great. If I get tired, I can't leave my shape like this. I need to color in all of the white spaces. Okay, now there's one more trick I want to show you. If you have a shape that's on the edge like this, it doesn't really have a lot of black lines to close it up, just one, but the shape is just in between these two dots and under the black line. So if you ever get a little shape like that, I'll show you another one. Stay near the dot and use the dot, okay? So I think I want to use a different color because I don't want to get too close to the blue. Let me use orange. And I'm very carefully looking where, remember if you're having trouble, hold your finger over the line and trace around it like a car driving on a road. And find where the shape is. Some of your spaces are going to be itty bitty. There is an itty bitty space right here, and I'm going to be very careful when I color it. There's the tiniest little white space, so I'm going to make sure my stick is diagonal. Ooh, look how careful. That was a skinny little space. Sometimes that happens. And I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to stop right here. I'm not going to keep coloring all the way over here because my dot tells me to stop. Okay, I'm going to keep going. I'm going to finish this one and a couple others super fast, but you are going to go so slow and take your time, and you might not even finish today. We're going to keep working every day until it's done. Make sure you follow all of my rules about coloring inside each shape using the paint sticks. I can't wait to see your colorful line drawings. Okay, I am just finishing up and I wanted to show you and remind you that you are coloring until all of your shapes are filled in. There should be no white shapes on your paper. I also like to trace around the shapes before I color them in with my finger over my paper, not touching the black line, so my brain can remember where I'm coloring and where I'm stopping. I'm using all of the colors from my basket because I want my action drawing to be extra colorful, just like Jackson Pollock's artwork. I am using some of them more than once, so once I used them all, I can use my favorites again, but not next door to each other. The two purples are not next door to each other because there's other colors in between, so you can use them more than once, but spread them out. I cannot wait for you to use these paint sticks, boys and girls.